make was, when we went up to the north of England, in Richmond, near Richmond Castle, there's a supermarket there, but the lenses into that area, because that area is obviously a protected area. So what I think I'm trying to say is, why, if this is an investment to the future, and it is for the future, it's obviously a lot of money is going to be spent on it, whoever decides to do it, it should be built in with that in mind, that it reflects the area, and it should be careful, even if this was just the gasworks, the rest of the area is not a gasworks. And I'm an East Barnet resident, okay?
You are, sorry?
I'm an East Barnet resident.
Yeah. But it's going to have an impact on all of us, and it's so true. And quality does cost a bit more. It doesn't have to cost a lot more. Quality is in how you approach it. And if we're going to get a type A, a type B or type C store with a bit of tweaking to fit the site, you're going to get bog standard. And the site does deserve better. Anything else on quality? Right? So,
what residential space standard?
as far as we can see, the minimum that they can get away with, they are not Parker Morris. They're not. The social housing will have to be to Housing Corporation, Housing Communities Agencies standards, which are better than than the private standards, but they're not as good as they could be. They're rabbit hutches. And if you want to know why I call them rabbit hutches, when you go home, go to the website www.swingacat. And if you can't remember, just Google swing a cat and see what it says in there. We are the bottom of the league table for rabbit hutches in the Western world. Another lady over here, yes, Dave?
I just wanted to say a quick word. When I was talking I went to the presentation ASDA did. I was talking to one of the architects who attended that meeting. I was just asking about the quality because it looked horrible on the architectural drawings. And I said to him, what sort of materials do you use? And he said, well, they're prefabricated. You bring them in, they're put up like a bit like a Lego building. And I said, well, does that, when you look around, what you see now in Barnet, can you see any of those buildings around here? I mean, when you look at ASDAs all over the country, that's how they're built. But often they're built out, not in the middle of a Victorian development, like we are at Victorian and Woodland. But that didn't seem to impinge on his recognition of what he'd considered to be a decent building.
I'm paid to deliver a job for my client, and if they don't build in quality, I don't do it. There is nothing wrong with prefabricated buildings if they're designed and built properly. The Swedes have been doing it for years, well, the Scandinavians have been doing it for years, but they do it to much higher standards than us. I really must push on because we're running out of time, we're over time. ASDA's view on putting other people out of businesses. I know what Tesco's view is because they told me. Tesco's James Wigham, who you remember standing here last year and not losing his rag no matter what you threw at him, they told me that when we come, we will put Sainsbury's out of business. That was his view. And that is good business because it's good for Tesco's shareholders. I have no reason to believe that ASDA are viewing it any differently. If they're going to take 40% of Sainsbury's business, that must have an effect on Sainsbury's. But I cannot comment on behalf of ASDA. You must ask them a question. Right. Let's go back to the vision. And that's where why I've left it to the end, because I think it's good that we should be a bit more positive. We have been negative. Sorry, I was going to do one more thing. We have been critical all the way through the evening of the proposed development. Is there anybody here who thinks there are benefits to be gained from the ASDA development? Is there anybody who wants to put a point of view of why we're wrong, where we're wrong, what trick are we missing? Come and tell us what the benefits are. Is there anybody who, has got a pro view? Because, if somebody stands up, don't shout them down, they're entitled to that viewpoint. Is there anybody? No benefits? All right, we'll go on to the vision then. ASDA paid a lot of money for that site. We understand it's in the region of 35 million. It could cost them up to 10 million to clean it up. 45 million or thereabouts. They need to maximise the return they can get, and large supermarkets are a good way of doing that. We question the floor area that they are showing. We think that it is capable of being extended within the framework, which means they could start at 42,000 square feet, not move the outside walls at all, or very little, and finish up with 60, 70,000 square foot store. It looks like the possibility has been built in. And that would be how they get their money back. They sell the houses, either to a housing association or sell them on the market. By 2011, 2012, there should be a market for housing again. So they will get that money back. If that site is sold just for housing, it will be quite expensive. They might take a hit on the price. What we've tried to show is if the council rejects the planning permission, refuses it, and if it then goes to an inspector and he refuses to approve the scheme, there is a very attractive option that is available. It's the one that we showed you this evening, and it would be a nice housing development with gardens, some flats, changing the look of the recreation ground, making it smaller in some areas, bigger in others, less of a rectangular place, and more human, more activity. So there is an alternative for that site, and that's part of the vision. The other part is we are pushing for money if the ASDA scheme goes ahead. Not when, if. We want to see environmental improvements in the area. We don't want to see 3 hanging baskets at the top of Albert Road called the environmental improvement. We want something far more fundamental in the way of streetscape architecture, planters, some improvements to the facades of buildings, and pressure by the council through supplementary planning guidance documents to help the shopkeepers, the retailers, the owners of the buildings, what would be the preferred approach to improving it. So we gave New Barnet an uplift, not demolish it all. Yeah, the carpet shop and the 2 shops next door are falling down, and if they stay for long enough they will fall down. But there are loads of things that can be done to lift this area. That's the sort of vision, and it all came out of what you told us. That vision for New Barnet as the things that came out of the 3rd of April meeting, 26th of July consultation, the websites and surveys. So it's not what I want, it's not what John wants, it's what the community said they want. There's a lady at the back and then a hand up over here.
I've got a couple of questions. Well, just one question. I was just wondering how much of your development you were planning on putting towards commercial use and retail use, as well as residential.
Well, the scheme that came out with, what was it, 800,000 square metres of commercial or retail, because that would replace what is there at present. It would provide some jobs, and it could also, restaurants or something like that could be beneficial there. And something like Tesco Express, if it was in the right position with the right parking, which is why we object to the present one. There's no parking. A lady over here?
I just thought that the financial question is crucial, isn't it, as to who's going to fund this vision of Barnet, and that almost, that big question. ASDA has got the money to do what they want to do. Have the Barnet Council got the money to bring our vision into being?
Shall I talk on behalf of the council, or do you want to say no? I think it's fair to say the council has